In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my 3 tactics to beating bangers. Plus, I'm going to be giving you guys my golden rule to not only beat these hard hitters, but leave them questioning why they would even consider speeding the ball up to you. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Austin, and I am a 5.5 ranked doubles and singles player, and I have been coaching pickleball on and off for the last 8 years. So welcome to Pickleball Playbook. There is nothing that bangers love more than when their competition doesn't make it up to the non-volley zone line. You'll see so many points lost just because the competition didn't make it up to the non-volley zone line. They popped up a shot and then the next shot was put away. And what bangers are trying to set up, obviously, is they're trying to outpower you, okay? And so we don't want to allow them to do that. So the best way to do that is to take away their greatest strength, which is their ability to hit it at your feet. Because if they hit it low at your feet, you can only hit it up from there. So you're going to end up popping the ball up, and then they're going to end up putting that ball away. So the best way to do that is by getting to the non-volley zone, and then it takes that away because they can no longer hit their 100-mile-an-hour bang at your feet when you're up at the non-volley zone. They would have to hit a drop. And chances are this banger solely relies on their bangs, right? Just hitting the ball as hard as they can. So they probably don't even have a drop. And you'll actually get bangers from every single level. I know that I've played bangers in 5.5. I know that there's professional bangers as well that have tons of success. But the only difference is once you get to the 5.0-ish level, they then have the ability to not only bang, but they can change up their game and they can also drop. But from beginner to about 4.5, they'll only have the ability to bang. So for a majority of players, majority of the pickleball population, that's great news when you're playing against bangers because all that you have to focus on is getting to the non-volley zone. So now I want to cover what you need to do once you have arrived at the non-volley zone line, which is hopefully every single point. Hopefully every single point you and your partner are getting to the non-volley zone line, regardless of if you're returning the ball or if you are serving the ball. So once you're there, the biggest thing to do is to stay relaxed. You want to stay relaxed regardless of if you're playing bangers or people that are dropping the ball a ton. But more especially against bangers, because the biggest thing that will happen is your shoulders will rise. You'll become extremely stiff, right? Your arms will become extremely stiff. And stiffness is never good in pickleball because your shots will become very inaccurate. But when you're relaxed, and I don't mean that you just have a total noodle arm, right? And your paddle's barely being held by one finger. The more tight and stiff you are, the slower you actually are, which is kind of an interesting principle. But the more relaxed you are, the quicker you will be able to react to the ball. So make sure that you're staying relaxed once you've arrived at the non-volley zone line. And then the last little mini tip for getting to the net is picking the right ready position. So picking a ready position that works for your game. So if you like to count, it comes down to 2 things. If you like to counter shots, so meaning if they hit a bang at you, if you like to counter with topspin, where you're coming over the ball, you're going to have a different ready position than if you like to counter with underspin. Me personally, I like to counter with both depending on the ball that comes at me, and my ready position reflects that. So for an example, I like to talk about J.W. Johnson. He's the perfect example of the fastest hands and the weirdest ready position you've ever seen. But it plays into the strengths of his game because he likes to counter majority of his counters with topspin. So if you guys go look him up after this video, you'll see majority of his counters are topspin, but that's because of his ready position. And his ready position, his paddle's actually below his waist, almost dangling by his side. Okay, so it almost makes no sense, but he's so relaxed that he has the fastest hands, and he counters so well with topspin. So the reason that this favors topspin counters is because the paddle's below your waist, and so you can only come up from there. And so as you're coming up into your shot, which they're hitting at your waist or above, right, when they're speeding up these shots, because they can't get it lower when they're banging from the baseline, you're going to come up instantly with topspin on all of your shots from this low position. So if you favor hitting topspin on your counters, pick that position where maybe not as low as JW, but where you're below your waist and you're relaxed so that you can come up into the ball. Someone like Catherine Parento is a good example of a ready position where her paddle is out in front of her and it's not straight up and down, right? But it's kind of facing towards her competition / in between her competition and upwards. So this is going to favor both because anything that goes below her paddle, she's going to cut and reset, which this is how I like my ready position to be, because anything that goes below my waist, I want to cut and reset anyway, because I can only hit up from there. So I would want to reset this shot into the kitchen. Anything that's above my waist, I would want to hit topspin on so that I can put more pressure on my opponents. And then you get people like Annalie Waters, who has both arms on the paddle, and her ready position, her paddle tip is facing straight up and down. And you'll see with her, since she has a two-handed backhand, she can create topspin when the ball is up high, even though that would normally favor cutting under the ball. But also if the ball comes extremely fast, you'll see that she can quickly cut under the ball. If the ball is ever low, she can then cut and reset. So anything that's high to Annalie, she's going to be hitting topspin. Anything that is low, she's going to be hitting underspin. But for the most part, it favors underspin because majority of shots that are coming at her in the pro division are going to be low. So pick a ready position that suits your game. Make sure that you're coming up to the line and that you're staying relaxed. So everybody that's watching this video has obviously played against a banger. You have played against a banger probably. And if not, you're really preparing ahead. And maybe you've never even picked up a paddle and you're just enjoying this video with us. But for majority of us, we have played against a banger, and we understand that they love nothing more than a big, huge, high ball that they can take out of the air and smack it down your throat, right? That's their whole goal. Let's just outpower these opponents. So tip number 2 and tactic number 2 that I like to use is keeping balls low. And more specifically, we're not pushing the ball low, right? So we're not trying to just keep the ball in and low. We're swinging through our motions. We're swinging through our shots. We're trusting ourselves. Okay, that's the biggest thing. We're staying relaxed and we're trusting ourselves. We're not tense and trying to push that ball. We're trusting ourselves. We're hitting through our shots. We're keeping the ball low. And if we can avoid these high balls, they're not just going to reel off point after point after point after point. But sometimes bangers like to come forward, okay? Because we've been keeping them back so good with these low balls. And as soon as they see an opportunity to come forward and take this ball out of the air, we then need to change our tactic. So instead of trying to keep it deep and low, we're now going to keep it short and low. And we're going to do something called conceding the kitchen, which is very overlooked in pickleball. A lot of the time we'll be like, I cannot let these guys come forward. So we'll keep swinging as fast as we can. That's what bangers love. They love these high balls that they can then come in and take out of the air. So we need to realize, okay, they've made it to mid-court. I'm dinking this next ball. I'm conceding the kitchen. Let's make these bangers dink. Absolutely essential. They will not have the ability to dink if they are bangers because all that they have done is relied on their power alone. So just be ready for speed ups and be ready to get out of the way, which is something that we'll cover later. So now that you're winning these dink battles after conceding the kitchen instead of popping that ball up, I want to give you guys a different tactic to focus on in case both the bangers just want to stay back, okay? They just want to stay on the baseline. They just want to rely strictly on their drives, which happens a ton at the beginner and intermediate level. So if they are doing this, you need to learn how to hit a drop volley. And I'm going to give you guys the tactic to be able to do that. So the first thing that you want to do is have your partner go across from you, and they're just going to bang balls at you. You're going to be up on the non-volley zone line. They're going to be at the baseline, and you're just going to be catching these balls with your dominant hand. Strictly catching the ball out in front of you, and then you're holding your finish. After you've done that, your friend is then going to be doing the same exact thing, but you're going to now have a paddle in your hand, and now all that you're doing is acting like you're catching that ball with your paddle. So it's just catch, 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 and voila, you have a drop volley. You know how to do it now. So obviously it's not that easy, but the more reps that you get in, you'll see how much you need to put on it. Maybe you need to push a little bit forward. Maybe you need to come a little bit backward as you're catching it. And those shots will go in and in and in and in. And the more you practice it, the better that you'll be at it. So that's a little drill that I like to do to be able to not only learn the drop volley, but hone in my drop volleys, because it's literally as simple as just catching the ball. And the reason that you want to do this with bangers is because if all they want to do is stay at the baseline, we want to make them as uncomfortable as possible and bring them to the net. So majority of bangers are washed out tennis players. Let's be real, okay? They come from tennis and they weren't good enough at tennis. They weren't number one in the world, so they had to come over and ruin pickleball. I'm just playing. I came from tennis, so I can say that. But I remember when I first came in to pickleball from tennis, I would bang everything. I was definitely a banger. Even at the kitchen line, I would speed everything up. And then I started playing against like some 4-0 level players, and I would try to speed it up from the kitchen line, and they put the ball away. Anyways, all that aside, that was just a little side story for you guys. But bangers absolutely love when you adopt their game, because if you start banging the ball, it's nothing that they haven't ever seen, especially if they're coming from tennis. They're returning 150-mile-an-hour serves that are coming at them. So half that pace, you're hitting 75-mile-an-hour drives if you're really cranking it at them. That's nothing for them. And they're able to counter that extremely easily, majority of them. So you don't want to play into their game. You want to continue playing your game. And tip number 3 is hitting more drops than you do drives. So you need to make sure that your drops are absolutely honed in. Be sure to tune in next week. I'm going to be doing a video all about how to hit a perfect drop. So obviously no drops are perfect, but this is going to be how to hit a perfect drop. So you guys will be able to do it. But you want to hit more drops. You want to keep this ball at their feet so that they don't have the ability to bang. You're taking away their superpower, which is to bang. So you're going to hit the drop, get to the kitchen line, and I like to say out dink, but really you want to just play your game. So for my specific game, I like to dink, dink, dink as much as I can to set up shots, which should be your tactic, so that I can put away. But also, out of the blue, I like to speed up sometimes a non-attackable ball every once in a while. I like to throw that in. I say non-attackable, any ball is attackable, but sometimes you throw that in and it catches them off guard, and this will even work against bangers. So you want to make sure that, most importantly, you're playing your game, but that you have your drops honed in case you face these bangers. Congratulations to you. Congratulations, because you have made it to the most important rule in pickleball for beating bangers, the golden rule that will leave those bangers questioning why they even bang anymore. You might just change their life. Maybe they'll just be like, you know what? I'm going to actually learn how to play pickleball now. I'm going to learn how to drop, learn how to dink and reset. No more banging for me, which hopefully they don't do. You still want to bang, okay? Banging's good to an extent. You just don't want to do it every shot of your career, because then you can only get to 4-0 and then you can't get past there, okay? What that golden rule is that I'm going to share with you guys is, if it's shoulder high, let it fly. I'm just playing. I got you, though. I got you. Yeah. You guys are all like, oh, I've heard that. Some of you are like, I've never heard that, so you had me. But I'm sure a lot of you have heard that. If it's shoulder high, let it fly. But my golden rule for learning how to beat bangers, for beating them, is the preparation. There's a quote, a great quote that I love. If ye are prepared, ye shall not fear. Whenever we're playing against bangers, we have a lot of fear, right? If we're not prepared. So we need to prepare by drilling these shots. So tactics 1, 2, and 3, we need to make sure that we're actually drilling getting up to the net. We're drilling keeping the ball low. We're drilling keeping the ball deep. We're drilling hitting these drop volleys. Okay, as our opponent, as our partner, our drilling partner is just banging these balls at us. It's getting in the repetition necessary so that when you actually get into the game, you can just be like, I got this. This is no problems for me, okay? So remember the quote, if you are prepared, you shall not fear. That is the golden rule for beating bangers, leaving them questioning their existence, which is exactly what we want to do, because they don't deserve to win, right? And by the way, something that's really funny is people will come up to me all the time and be like, yeah, they won, but all that they did was bang. They didn't play traditional pickleball, so it doesn't really matter. And I'm like, yeah, we're no longer friends. Because it's like, there's not one proper way to play pickleball. You play to win, and you do what's necessary to win. You'll even see it at the pro level where people will win matches by banging. They bang every shot, and they win the match because that's what works against their opponents. So it's using these tactics and even learning how to bang. For some of you that only drop, right, and you're trying to beat those banger friends, Learn how to bang, okay? Because it'll pay off not against your banger friends, but it'll pay off against maybe your partner that you're playing with when you're playing against these banger friends. So learn all aspects of the game. Remember, if you are prepared, you shall not fear. And be sure to subscribe because I upload a new video at least every single week. And I'd love to help you guys improve your pickleball game.